Welcome to the Skeins of Dreams Knitting Podcast. I'm Megha. I'm also known as Skeins of Dreams on Instagram and on Ravelry. And I usually come here and talk to you all about my knitting and making journey. But I have been kind of missing from action for a few weeks now. My last update was right after I went to the Knit City Montreal Festival. And it has been a few weeks since then, and I finally have time today to come sit and talk about my knitting with all of you. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for checking out my video. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for sticking with me and for all your lovely messages, encouragement, and I love reading all of your comments on my videos. So thank you so much for being here. It has definitely been a minute. I feel like I've been saying that every episode now. The gap between my episodes has become consistently longer. Mostly work related delays. I have been traveling quite a bit. I think when I saw you last, I had been to Detroit and then I went to Montreal after that. And after Montreal, I went to Cincinnati, then I went to Toronto, then I went to Chicago, and I went back to Cincinnati. Now I'm home. I feel like I've just been going to different cities every week and it has become a bit much, and I'm sure in the next few weeks I will again go back to some of these cities for work, mostly meetings and work related boring stuff. This here is the interesting stuff, right? So I'm here again with you, and you can see Mango just about in the corner of the video there. He's scratching up my carpet nicely. So I decided that I had given it quite the break has become long enough that I have a lot to talk about, to catch up with all of you. So I thought I'll come and give you an update on all the knitting shenanigans that have been going on at my end. I would say I've been knitting, but maybe the volume has been lower than usual just because I've been working long hours and I've been traveling, so it hasn't always it's not the same amount of production, but it's supposed to be like a relaxing hobby. That's what I tell myself. That's what I have to keep reminding myself, because I feel like I somehow manage to make knitting stressful as well. But it's not. No, it's a hobby, and that's what keeps me happy. So yeah, so I'm here with, as usual, updates as usual, finished objects, works in progress, and always some dream knitting. So without waiting any longer, let's move towards my finished objects. So I have a few things to talk about. And I think during my last video, I was still working on this, but I have now finished my violet tee. Yep. This is my violet tee. This is a test knit I did for Jessica McDonald, and it is done and it is beautiful. And I'm going to put a video of me wearing, as you can see, I'm not wearing anything knitted today. All my summer knits they need a wash. So I'm not showing any of those or wearing any of those today. But yeah, this I completed, I think maybe a week after my trip to Montreal. So I have worn it once since then. It kind of got cool here. It got really hot first, but then it got cool, so I got to wear it, and it is such a comfortable garment to wear. I knit this in Eco View Fiber Mill lapidary. It's a fingering weight base, 50 wool, 50 tencel. Tencel is a plant-based fiber, I believe. And I absolutely love this lace detail at the bottom, just the way it's been hanging in my closet, like the front tends to ride up, but it has a beautiful lace detail at the bottom, and then a scoop neck, which I absolutely love. I really like this edge, the pick-up edge for picking up the sleeves. So it's kind of a drop shoulder. You work the back first, and you work it until like below your underarm. You pick up for the fronts, you work each front separately, then you join the fronts, and then you join in the round after working enough, and as usual you pick up for your sleeves after you join the front and the back. So it's a beautiful design. It looks lovely on everyone who's made it. I'm super happy with it, and the color is really nice like this. So EcoView Fiber Mill is now, I think it's out of business, but they were having a 50% sale on all their stock last year, so that's when I grabbed 3 skeins of this beautiful color, and I have half a skein left, so I used about 2.5 skeins. This is a cropped top. It's not very long. I could have made it longer, but I always run out of time and run out of patience when I'm knitting the body of sweaters. So it ended up being a crop tee, but it actually looks really nice. I've tried styling it a few different ways and actually made a reel for Instagram, and I think I'm very happy with it. It's fingering weight garments are always super versatile. You can wear them however. So yep, that's my finished violet tee, and I love it. Alright, so that was finished object number 1. This one is another test knit I started. I feel like I started this after Montreal. I just forgot what I recorded in my last episode. Honestly, I can't remember anything now. But yeah, I started this after my episode, I believe. It's a test knit for Orlan Souk, who's known as Tete Beche. I cannot say French words very well, but it's a simple vest, and I was missing knitting with wool, so I made it in a very woolly yarn. This yarn is Blackberry Ridge Woolen Mill Natural colorway in their sport base. So it's a very, very pretty vest. You can see there are still ends hanging off of it because I've not woven the ends, but I have washed and blocked it, and the neckline or neckband is worked with the garment. It has this very beautiful eyelet and seed stitch pattern on it. Then it has a garter hemline and just a very small garter armhole edge as well. I haven't actually, I've tried it on, it fits me really well, but I've actually not like worn it and styled it or anything. It's just fresh from the blocking mat, so I thought I'd show you because I finished it. So this is my vest, and I will be surely putting up some pictures on Instagram soon. I can't promise that I'll have anything styled and ready for the video, but maybe the next episode I can show you some of my styled pictures, how I'm planning to wear this. I'm very happy with it. I think it's going to be a staple garment. It was a simple pattern. Orlan has beautiful designs and very simple and classic modern looking things. I do like the detail in the back here, so there is this pick-up edge almost that from where you start the front, and that gives a very nice detail in the back. Yeah, So the back does not have any of the texture, it's only in the front. But yeah, I'm super happy with this make, and surely will be wearing it quite a bit in the shoulder seasons leading up to fall maybe. I chose a natural color because a lot of my shirts and tops are brighter colors, so I thought a simple classic vest would be a nice addition to my wardrobe. Honestly, the last vest I made, I love it so much, but I haven't worn it as much as I love it. So I'm still trying to figure out ways to incorporate vests in my wardrobe and to style them in a way that I'm happy with them. So I think I do want to wear it, and they make for such easy, simple knits without the sleeves. Like I absolutely enjoy that. So I did end up making it, but I think I have to somehow wear them as well, not just keep making vests. I think this is my third vest and I don't wear vests like at all. Like I have to, maybe I wear a vest once a season, which is not nearly enough. So yeah, I need to figure out how to wear my vests. I keep making them, clearly, but yeah. So that was my second finished object, and my third finished object is actually a pair of socks. So I have socks always going on in the background. They're the easiest travel knitting that I can think of that I like to work on. And recently, as I mentioned, I went to Chicago and I flew to Chicago, so I didn't have to drive. So in the airport, the easiest thing to work on are socks. So I finished these. I had started them a while ago. Like I don't need socks like immediately or anything nowadays. I have like a decent sock drawer, but I keep like making them and adding them to my sock drawer. So I keep working on them in the background. So these are just very simple. I striped them with some contrast yarn that I thought would be cute, and I did like is it a slip stitch heel? I never know what to call it, or is it the eye of the partridge? Something like that. I did like a heel flap gusset and top down usually, and then I usually do a square toe because that I have a very long big toe, so the square toe works best for me. Not that I've tried the circular one, but this fits me so well that I don't feel the need to try the circular toe. But yeah, very plain vanilla socks. I enjoy vanilla socks the most. Like I don't want to think when I'm making socks. They are my very relaxed knitting. I really don't have the brain space to think about patterns. I do like a ribbed sock, but these ones I didn't even rib. And this is, I think, coast to coast yarn on their sock base. I prefer an 80-20 base, so I believe this is the 80-20 base, and I think the colorway is called Rolling On Out. Very nice sock yarn. I mean, nothing to complain, but nothing to write home about. It's a vanilla sock, right? Like what can I say? I do have sock blockers that I used to use when I was a new podcaster, but now I couldn't be bothered. I don't block socks on sock blockers as well. I don't like to stretch them out. I just like wash them and hang them to dry. So that's about it. Just a simple pair of socks and they're done. Now, works in progress. So since I just finished the vest yesterday, I'm in the process of casting on new projects. But the most exciting thing I have been doing, and you will be proud of me, is last weekend I started and made a bunch of progress in joining my crochet blanket that my mom made. So my mom made the squares and then she made like the pink background as well, and I have been joining these squares together using the pink yarn, and it's so pretty. I love it so much. So these are 100 squares, so they are rows of 10 each, so 10 rows of 10, and I have attached 8 rows already. I have only 2 rows to go, so I'm definitely finishing it this weekend. I mean, finish joining it. Then I have all these ends to weave in, and then I want to do like a border with the pink, just to, you know, I want a cleaner edge than just the joining edge. It always gives a very weird look, so I want like a clean straight edge. So I'm going to finish up this blanket over the weekend. I'm super excited. It's so big I can't even like... Yep, that's the beautiful blanket I've been putting together, and I will bring mom back on the podcast. She's still here. She's here until the end of July, so I will bring her back on to talk to you all, because she has been crocheting quite a bit, so she needs to give an update on her projects. So I will call her again, but I just have so much going on today that I thought I'd just come by myself and record a short update. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite works in progress. If this is the first video you're watching, these squares are using Philosopher's Wool. It was a Canadian farm that produced this wool. Like, I got some in a D-stash and I didn't know what to do with it. It's quite rustic. So when my mom came, I had this project ready for her. I was like, here you go, crochet all these squares for me. And then the pink is actually Briggs & Little Regal. It's a DK weight woolly wool. And I tried knitting with it, but it hurt my hand when I knit with it. It was very rustic for me. So I thought a woolly blanket would be a perfect way to use up all this yarn that I couldn't make garments with. And of course I can't, if I can't wear it as a garment, there's no way I can wear it as a shawl. So it's gonna be a lap blanket for when we sit on the couch and watch TV. Yep. And there's different colors. So you can see there's some purples happening here. There's a violet somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it's a very, very happy knit or happy crochet. Now the pink is not everybody's first choice for making a border, but honestly I didn't want to buy new yarn for it, so I ended up using what I had in stash, and I had a lot of the pink in stash, so I felt like that would make the best background color. I don't know, I couldn't find the word suddenly. So yeah, so that has been happening. And then since I finished one pair of socks, I started a second pair. I was at my local yarn store when I saw this ball of yarn. It's so pretty. It's called Paint Sock and it's by Lane du Nord. It's made in Italy, it says. It retails for about $24 in the US. So that is the yarn in the ball, and that's the sock that's happening from it. I have just started the heel flap, but I'm super pleased. And as you can see, I'm doing a 3x1 rib here, so I'm doing a flat wide rib, and this is my favorite way of making socks. They sit quite snug. But yeah, it's another vanilla sock. Like I said, I don't like my socks to be very stimulating. They need to be super chill. So I started that as soon as I finished my other pair of socks. I always need a pair of socks on the go for travel knitting, and all of that has been done either while traveling or at work when I have like half-hour lunch break while I'm eating. I just put like a few rows in. I don't work at it at home. I don't sit down and knit on my socks. They're always going to be a travel project. So unless I make a gift for someone, I don't knit on socks like dedicatedly. So I did it for 2 years, and hence I have a substantial sock drawer, which is sufficient for me as of now. And I've not decided if these are for me or for Baljeet. We both have the same foot size, so sometimes he just takes my socks. If he can find his own pair. I have made him very like boy colors, and to stereotype him, mainly to separate them from my pink and colorful rainbow socks. But sometimes when he can't find his, he just wears mine anyway. So we don't necessarily share. Like, I don't wear his socks, but he wears mine, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so I don't know who is going to wear these socks, but they're on my needles. All right, I have another massive blanket project going on. not super massive, but massive project, and I'll explain in just a second. I need to grab my yarn from right there. So, my neighbor reached out to me and she asked me if I would knit or make her newly born nieces hand knit blankets, like handmade blankets. So my neighbor's brother recently, him and his wife, they recently had twin girls, and my neighbor asked me if I would make them blankets, and I was super excited about it because I had this Cascade Ultra Pima 100% cotton yarn in a lot of pastel colors that I didn't know what to do with for myself, and I had bought them with the view of making a baby blanket, and I jumped at the opportunity. Of course, my neighbor has she would like to pay for the blanket, so I'm kind of doing somewhat of a commission. I usually, like, if I take money for any knitted items, I only do them for friends, and then I only take money for the material. I really can't put a price on the labor and effort that it takes because it becomes exorbitant amount of money, and then if I'm doing it for friends, I don't want to have that awkward conversation usually. If I don't want to make it, or if it's not a friend, I just say no. But yeah, so I'm very happy to make this blanket for my neighbor, and for the twin girls I have to make two. I've only been working on one so far. I've not yet finished the one, so I have to make this all over again. But I decided to make them in the same colors but not put them in the same order, like the colors will be a bit different. So I used the Pearl Soho pattern called the Log Cabin Spectrum blanket or something. So this is what I've done so far. The orange color in the center is the first block you make. Like this orange is the first one, and then you pick up along one edge and you do the blue. Then it's like you're making a log cabin, so you pick up along the orange and blue edge and you do the pink, and then I made the yellow, and then there is a second pink over here. It's a creamy soft shell pink, and now I have picked up this longer edge and I'm doing the purple. So I feel like on screen the colors look a little different than they look in person. It does look very baby colored like in person, and I'm sure once I'm done with all the colors it will look really pretty. Sorry for the crinkling, but here's all the skeins because I have to make another one of these. So I bought like 2 skeins of each color, and I'm gonna like make another blanket which will go with this one. It's like a set, of course, but they'll be placed differently. I hope they look as good as I want them to. And it's Cascade Ultra Pima, so it's like 100% Pima cotton, and I'm holding it double, by the way. I'm holding the yarn double, and I'm doing this on US 8. It's different from Pearl Soho's pattern because they've used bulky yarn and they've used a different needle. But what I did was took basically the dimensions and I kind of redid it in whatever gauge I was getting. So I just cast on different number of stitches and doing different number of ridges, but essentially coming out to be the same size of total blanket. And I have notes on Ravelry, so if you're using a different yarn and you want to see what I did, you can check out my Ravelry notes if Ravelry is accessible to you. But yep, so I'm working on this very pretty baby blanket. I feel like today the lighting isn't very good because it's kind of gloomy outside and I have like yellow overhead lights, so they're not helping with the color of these, with this yarn color. But essentially, yeah, that's the blanket in action. I love the yarn. I'm a little concerned about my color placement and everything, but I think it will come together. It's a baby blanket. The point is to have all the beautiful colors in there. But yeah, so that is another blanket project that I've been working on. And then, of course, since I finished one test knit, I always have to sign up for another. So since I finished the vest yesterday, I'm trying to cast on another project, and this one is not most likely, this one is a test knit for Marina Skua. I suddenly, every time when I read the name, I say it a certain way in my head, but when I pronounce it, I'm like, is this how I'm supposed to say it? Marina is a very, very talented yarn dyer. She designs patterns. I think she lives in the UK, and yeah, so I have been following her work for a while, and I really enjoy watching her episodes. Like, she has a podcast as well, and she came out with a test knit for a colorwork yoke sweater, and I felt like I just saw the sweater and I was like, wait, Baljeet would really like a sweater like this. And I pretty much had all the colors, all the yarn that I needed for it, so I didn't have to buy anything. I think I bought 2 skeins of the green, but hold on, I will show you what the sweater is gonna look like. So I'll put up a picture on the screen here of how Marina's sample looks, and then I did a swatch for Baljeet's sweater, and these are the 4 colors I picked, but based on this swatch, I'm going to make some changes. So this white to me seems like it's a bit too stark given the contrast of the other 3 colors. So I'm going to change this white out with, it's a cream, actually it's the same cream as my vest, but I'm going to change it out with a light gray, and then I'm going to switch the green and the yellow. So I think the green will be the main contrast color and the yellow is going to be the lesser of the two. I know the green and yellow don't come off as nicely on the screen as they do in person, but I kind of like that subtle contrast. I didn't want a very stark contrast, and I showed this to Baljeet and he really liked it. So the sweater is going to be like here on top, and then only the bottom or the main color is this navy, and that only shows up after the yoke. The navy is not in the color work at all, so the navy only shows up later. So that's the style of the sweater anyway, but that's what I'm gonna do. And when I hold it up like this, I can already see that the white is just taking over everything, and hence I want to take the white out, put in a gray, and I'm gonna switch the yellow and green so that it's like a green and gray over here and then green and yellow here, which I don't mind the low contrast. But I in general love the look of this. It's gonna be very nice for Baljeet. He would like a subtle sweater like this. So I decided to sign up for the test knit for Baljeet, and Marina's sample has like just like a few rows of ribbing, so it doesn't have a lot of ribbing on top, but Baljeet doesn't like that. He likes having the neck up so that you can see the shirt underneath. For whatever reason, like that's how he prefers the sweater. So I already spoke to Marina, and I'm going to extend the ribbing at the neck so it's a little wider. But I'm excited, and I did like the intelligent thing and swatched for it, which I'm happy I did, because with 4 colors I'm always iffy about placement. If it's 2 colors, I feel like I'm more confident about color placement, but when it gets more than 2 in this way where they're going to be close together, I'd like to see how it looks in a swatch. So I'm super happy I did this. But maybe I should show you the colors in the skein. So otherwise here I feel like the green is, I mean, you can see it, you can see how the green is. So I want that green to be a little more obvious, and I have more of the green than I have of the yellow, so I want to use the green in the first contrast color so that I can use more of it. But yeah, so I swatched this morning. I met Gage. I knew I would meet Gage because I know how I knit, and I knew with this is, I never even mentioned, the blue and the green are Cascade 220 heathers. The blue is the navy and green is spruce heather or something. The white and the gold, you've seen them before. If you've seen my knitting for a while, I knit the Kerr sweater for Baljeet in this combination, and that's another reason. He saw the white and the gold and he's like, I already have a whole sweater in that combination. Not that this is going to be a main like this is very little in the sweater as a whole, but still he saw that and he's like, it reminds me of my other sweaters, so I'm going to change those out and do a little rejig to get this sweater going. But yeah, I'm planning to cast it on today after I finish recording, and I'm super excited about it. I haven't done color work in a while, I feel, and I really am itching for color work. When I went to meet Selma, actually, I tested out her knitting ring that she has from a vendor, and I forgot the name. I think it's Corina Lunida. I think I'll put their name on the screen here. And I really liked Selma's ring, so I bought it for myself, and I tried swatching this color work with that ring. That didn't really go well. I feel like I got frustrated because I was slower with the ring and my hand started to hurt a bit, so I feel like it's just not having enough practice. So I think I need to be a bit more patient, which I was not when I was doing this. I just want to get this sweater going, so I was not patient enough to try the ring for a while. So I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it slowly. I'm not in a hurry to learn how to use the ring. The ring, currently I do color work two-handed, like I hold my contrast in my left and my main color in my right, but the ring would have me hold both in the same hand, and I feel like that's a bit much for my hand and my knuckles are hurting. I don't know what's going on, or maybe it's all the cotton knitting I'm doing for the baby blanket. So I'm gonna ease off on that and just do two-handed color work for a bit, and then I'll see when I use the ring. Yep, so that's going to be my next cast on. I do have a few more cast ons, but I'm not going to talk about them because then my like dream knitting segment is just gonna go blow out of proportion. But I do want to talk about this yarn I received. So I think a few other podcasters have mentioned this on their videos. I know Leanne talked about it, and I know Selma talked about it. Leanne from the Knitty Stew, and then Selma from Little Big Knits talked about it. Smita, who is the owner of a Canadian yarn store called Your Next Knit, reached out to me, and she very graciously offered to send me some yarn from her store and gave me a discount that I could pass on to everyone else if they wanted to purchase from her store and get some, I think 15% discount, and it's Skeins of Dreams 15 is the code. But she very graciously, generously asked me to just take a look at her yarn, at her inventory, and then pick what I would like. And I had been eyeing this yarn for a while, but I never ended up getting it. So I got some BC Garn soft silk from Smita, and this is the Burette silk, Burette, I don't know how to say that. It's fingering-ish. It's 350 meters on 100 grams, so I would say it's like a heavy fingering, and this is the copper color. I like the color. I'm just not able to decide what I want to make in it. You know, like, should I make a shawl in it? Should I make a sweater or a top in it? I just can't tell. It's quite close-ish to my, I mean, yeah, I can't decide what I want to make in it. I'm trying to figure out what, and that's the reason I have not cast on this yarn. It's beautiful. It's 100% silk, so I know I'm gonna love whatever I make in it. I just can't decide what I want from it. I was thinking I might hold it together or hold it double and make a ranunculus. That's always an option. Or I have so many shawls from all these books I own. Maybe I should make a shawl and have like a summer shawl with me, because I feel like sometimes I find that gap in my wardrobe that I'm out, it's like summer or spring, and then it's kind of chilly and I want a shawl, but I don't want a woolly shawl, so I might make a shawl from it. So I have not decided, and the only reason that I've not cast on with this yarn is I don't know what to make with it. Do you have any ideas? What do you think will look good in this yarn for me? I am struggling to find a good answer for it. But yeah, Thank you so much, Smita. I really appreciate your generosity. And if any of you viewers want to purchase from Smita's store, go and check out her inventory. She has some very interesting yarn available. And I believe it's a newer store, so I'm sure she'll be getting more yarn in. And yes, so I just really wanted to mention that. And I also have been looking for ideas of what to do with this yarn. Yep. All right. I think I covered everything I had planned to. I felt like I had a lot, but I feel like I went through everything pretty efficiently. So, yeah. So that's what's been going on in my life on the knitting front. I know it's always a little like with work balancing recording these videos becomes a little bit of a challenge. I'm not working from home as much as I used to. I'm traveling quite a bit, and then when I'm not traveling, I'm going into work. And then in the evenings, there's absolutely no energy. And then weekends, because it's the summer, we're always doing something. A couple weeks ago, we invited our neighbors over for Indian food, and I cooked a lot. Like, I made a lot of things. I made an eggplant dish, it's like roasted eggplants with a tomato and onion curry base. Then I made lamb and peas. I made chicken biryani, which is chicken and rice basically, but it's a very specific dish from India and there's a very specific way of making it, so I did that. And then I'm forgetting quite a few things. Oh yes, so I made something called palak paneer, which is cottage cheese with like a spinach based gravy. Then I made rice, and then I made rotis, which are Indian bread. And then we purchased dessert. I did not make any dessert, but it was a whole thing. And then we obviously made some appetizers. So we had cauliflower and onion fritters to start with, and yeah, it was a whole thing. My neighbors loved it. But yeah, so these are the kind of things I've been doing, right? Like, and then if I'm cooking this much, I don't have time to record a knitting podcast. And then last weekend, my best friend was here visiting us from Akron, so we spent all weekend with her. So yeah, so stuff has been happening, and which is why I haven't been very regular with my podcasting. But I usually feel like that's how summers go, and then when winter comes around, you're doing less social stuff, and so there's more time to record, so the podcasts get regular. But yeah, I absolutely was missing this, so I thought I needed to come here and record another episode. And you can see I'm like sitting in my office actually, right after work, and recording this episode. And so there's a change in location. My craft room needs a thorough clean. Oh, actually I did do some sewing before I went. One of the trips I took, I can't remember. So one weekend, I think it was Memorial Day weekend here in the US, when I was doing some sewing, and I made a pair of pants. I didn't like them as much. Like, I made a mock pair using some plaid fabric, and it looks like pajamas. So I thought I'd try them first and then make it in the actual fabric to wear outside. But I'm not gonna do that. So I have to make a different pair of pants now. And if you watch Casey from the Young Folk Knits podcast, she mentioned that she and I want to make the Jones trousers. So I have some fabric I got for that, because I know Casey's been very seriously planning all her Rhinebeck outfits, and I'm kind of getting a little, I'm getting a bug for that as well. I'm like, I need to wear handmade stuff for Rhinebeck. And then I know Amy and Rebecca will be here for Rhinebeck, so it'll be not just the weekend, but like the long weekend. So we're meeting on Wednesday and we'll be together until Sunday. So a lot of days to plan for. And then I keep signing up for test knits, of course. So I have 2 other test knits that I haven't spoken about, mostly because I don't have anything to show for them. I could have shown the yarn I'm planning to cast them on in, but I mean, I've already shown enough stuff today. I feel you will see those coming You will see those other test knits when I record my next episode. And of course, I want my mom to come and record with me because she has been crocheting away, and we need to give all of you an update on what she has been up to. So yeah, a lot has been happening, knitting has been happening, but I have not been able to podcast as much. But I'm really glad I got the time and opportunity to do it today, and I hope you enjoyed my quick as this is. I can never tell how long my episodes turn out to be. Usually I'm good at keeping them under an hour, and I feel like that's more manageable for me when I'm editing as well, so I don't mind that. So, but yeah, at this point I should stop talking because otherwise I'll start rambling about random stuff. But thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate all your lovely messages and comments. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And yep, stay safe, take care, happy crafting, and see you next time. Bye.